Hi everyone and welcome to Hollywood Hills episode, well, it's not Friday the 13th, this is episode number 13 as we roll into the racing month of April. And I really hope you guys had a fantastic Easter, didn't eat too many chocolate eggs, and still kept up a little bit of extra training. It's cool that we were able to still celebrate Easter this time around, because 12 months ago it was a little bit of a darker situation. So I'm very much celebrating the fact that we're actually able to spend time with our families, go riding, and still have a relative free time out there. I know there's still COVID in the air, but it's still starting to feel a lot better than it was 12 months ago. So yay! As far as racing goes, it's been a wild ride in the last couple of months. There's been so many events on top of each other. It's been hard to actually keep up. And myself and the lads at LiveX, our heads have been spinning. There's been so many edits going on. Right now, we're obviously in the middle of the second week of edits, and that is for GXCC round number 2. So last week, we rolled out the first show. That was episode number 1 from round number 2 at Modi Molly, focusing on the juniors and the quads. And this week, we're going to be rolling out the big show. That's the pro category. So watch out for that. That'll drop at the end of this week. Right now, we're talking about what's been going on in the world of racing. So we'll focus in this week and just go old school and check out a couple of stills pictures from GXCC Racing and the magical fingers of Fricky Stroh in action in motion. And this was from the Modi Molly National that ran in conjunction with the GXCCs. I know it created quite a lot of chaos in the day, and no doubt there's going to be a little bit of review going on. I know I'm going to be talking to GXCC management to see how we're going to be handling the next round, and I will be with you for the next round, I promise you that. Sorry I had to bail out on this weekend. Unfortunately, had to go chasing the cheese and race with the cars every now and again. So on this day, the story was coming off the Natal event, which was very much considered a hare scramble event, and this was going to be proper flat-out racing. Down there in the OR1s, it was Swanee, Brett Swanepoel, that took the win, this time on the flatlands and in scrubland that is very similar to his hometown. Jazz Kutsia came good. And he actually made a little bit of history as well, because it's only his second national. I think it's only a third race on the big 450 for the factory KTM squad, and Jazzman walked away with the big win there. So that's going to close things up and tighten things up. It's way too early to start talking about championship numbers, but it's 1-for-1, Swanee versus Jazz at the top of the pile on the big bangers, and a tip of the cap, a third place for Dart, and this is literally his second ride on the big factory Pepsi Plastics 450. So great to see the Dart going there, but the big win going to Jazzman. In the OR2s down in Natal, it was always going to be a safe bet to put your house, your mortgage, and all of your future repayments on Brad Cox walking away with the win, and he did that. He was absolute lightning down there. But up on this hardcore terrain, it's always going to be the Brawler. So now Brawler's taken the win. Looks like it's going to be the Brawler versus Cox show, but remember the next round is going to be Freiburg, and that's also right up the Brawler street. He loves it. Fast, choppy, sandy, and dusty. So we're watching to see what's going to unfold. Really, round number 3 is going to be the decider in the championship. We're going to start to understand how the points are looking on the page. In the OR3s, cool situation where we saw some good figures and different riders coming into play. Down at round number 1, Dav Cocker dominating. He was dominating here also at round number 2, but mechanicals causing the problems. He actually walked away with a win in the regional and club event, but that was for the GXCCs. Then the Nationals ran a little bit longer. His bike let go, and that allowed Matty Wilson to take his first ever 250 national win. So that also changes up the championship chase. So cool for Matty to get the job done there in only his first season and only his first couple of events to actually stand on top of the national box. That's cool for him. Then in the age group categories, let's talk about the seniors. Blau is simply unstoppable at the moment. Not just that, he is consistently finishing inside the top 10, ranked against the best pros, and we have got a really strong pro lineup for this year and in previous years. But for Blau to still hammering top 10s means he is on the money. He's got his game face on, and that 450 out of Roos KTM is firing on point. There's no one anywhere near his back wheel at the moment. The rest of the seniors, guys, step on up there. This is making things look way too easy for Blau. And then in the Masters, cool story to see Farmer. He had a terrible time down in KZN. He was still injured. He was sick as a dog, and he still managed to get that second place, only being beaten out by Greg Nan, who's a bit of an enduro specialist and a hare scramble rider down in KZN. Very much in the same mold as Farmer, loves his 300 smoker, is fit and doesn't look his age at all as well. So Farmer turned things around up here on the high felts, up in Limpopo for Modi Molly, hammered the field, and his closest competitor was his old sparring partner, Peter Hull. Yep. Hull came back into the mix and he stepped onto a fill-in ride because Pepper, unfortunately Ian Pepper, carrying a mountain bike injury, he's got a collarbone out. So that means that Peter Hull, who normally rides a 500cc beast, was on a 250 cross-country Kawasaki riding under Pepsi Plastic colors as a fill-in rider, and he dwarfed that little bike but still managed to bring it to a number 2 spot. That's going to change up the championship as well because it's going to give a buffer to Wayne, who now stands on top in the championship standings. That's very, very, very cool. As for the high school guys, it looks like John Buerta had an absolute belter of a weekend. He creamed it and won in the 125s as we expected in the GXCC class. But in the Nationals, it looked like he'd won, but he's one of the multiple riders suffering penalties. And there's a lot of toing and froing about these results, but we won't get into that. But it does look like Brandon Swanepoel from KZN has been credited on the Sherco with his first national win in the high schools. So well done to him. So that's just a quick look through what went down last weekend. Like I said, me and the lads are going to be going wild at the moment, getting that pro GXCC show where we're focusing on the club and the regional championship category. That's going to be our speciality. And then next week we'll roll out, and I think it's going to be part of Hollywood Hills number 14. We'll actually roll out the support class within that show and also do a quick review like we did here when we look at round number 3 of the EWXCs. That's coming up. So let's talk about what's coming up in the racing month. Relatively quiet month on the front. As far as the cross country and enduros go, we're just going to be focusing in on 2 events this month, so it's quite nice to kind of calm things down a little bit. So on the 10th, me and the lads will roll out, and that's going to be what was supposed to be Pisungskloof. That was for round 3 of the EWXCs. It's now being moved across to Heidelberg, so probably a similar layout of the track that we did a couple of months back, and they'll just flip it around. So we'll run either clockwise or anti-clockwise, the reverse of the event that we did earlier in the year. And then the week after that, it's going to be Farm Jam round number 2. Boccabello. So that is literally just around the corner from the first round that we raced at. And remember, Farm Jam are rolling out a new format. They're going on the road. They're not going to be racing all the time at their dirt tracks facility. So Boccabello is going to be another hare scramble event. It's going to be much less technical than the opening round. And fingers crossed we don't get that rain, because really the only problems that we had at round number 1 were caused by the rain that created those 2 mud bogs. So don't be scared away if you had a tough time out at round number 1. Round number 2 at Farm Jam will be much, much easier. Both those events, the entries are open online at Race Control, so go get those entries in. I'll be there on the mic at both those events, and I'll be looking after the production with myself, Hollywood Hills, and my conjunction that I have running with the LiveX lads. So we'll be bringing you all of that meat and potatoes. Get those top 10 results. We'll try and make you as famous as we can. For now, try and recover from that chocolate overload from the weekend and hold your breath. The Pro GXCCs from Modi Molly will be coming up at the end of this week. Stay tuned. Bye-bye.